The wild boars of madness. Chapter 34. Overdone.
The bullet whizzed through the air in the unpredictable mountain breeze, slightly deviating from its course and hitting precisely on the angular edge of the couchant tiger stone. It ricocheted off, striking the pig's back, leaving a bloodstain that stood out vividly in the sunlight. Shards of rock flew around, pelting Shen Yufa's face as he slept askew. Wincing in pain, he rolled under the stone, tumbling on the ground. Although a bloodstain emerged on the pig's back, thanks to the effects of alcohol in the tough pigskin, it didn't feel pain. It only took a step back, leaning against the ironclad tree, glancing at the person rolling on the sand and stones opposite the couchant tiger stone and the figure of Liang standing up on the elevated platform. It fell into contemplation. Its two fangs gleamed brightly in the sunlight. Dazhuang's eyes turned red with regret, exclaiming, "It went through." A metallic clatter followed as Teacher Lai ejected the spent cartridge, took the magazine handed by Erzhuang, pressed it in, directed the bolt, aimed, and squeezed the trigger. Bang! The sound was exceptionally loud. The breech exploded. Mizhang crawled and rolled down the hill, shouting for help. As the sky darkened, he only managed to reach Team Leader's house, shouted, "Something's happened," and collapsed, knocking down the fence at Team Leader's gate. Team Leader rushed out, grabbed Mizhang, shook him, but couldn't wake him up, and Fan poured a bucket of cold spring water over Mizhang's head, and he regained consciousness. Mizhang said, "Quick, go carry the injured. For people, we're in trouble." After speaking, he passed out again in the muddy water. Teacher Lai had half of his skull blown off beyond recovery. Erzhuang lay on the right side, half of his face battered, unconscious. Dazhuang had an eye gouged out by a flying bullet fragment. Shen Yufa's face was scarred by flying rock fragments and one of his eyes was shattered. The gun, magazine, and the rear half of the barrel were twisted into a chaotic mess. Only a few thick and thin pieces of metal, along with a small portion of the barrel, remained connected. The wooden guard under the barrel was completely shattered. Lao Yang contemplated peeling off the buffalo hide at the base of the gunstock to check if the 6 characters were still there, but he abandoned the idea. 20-some people took turns carrying them down the mountain. The town sent a designated person to investigate overnight. It wasn't until 10 o'clock the next morning that they brought the 4 to the entrance of Waihezigu Valley, sending them to the hospital in an ambulance. Lao Yang was directly taken to the town, instructed to stay in the duty room for cooperation with the investigation and not to go home. In the middle of the night, he was summoned to a small conference room. The exploded gun and various bullets were scattered on the table. One person sat at the head, questioning, while another sat beside, taking notes. Director Fang sat in a wicker chair on the side, and the Commune Secretary sat on a wooden chair below, both wearing grim expressions. Lao Yang recounted the entire incident from start to finish. As the note-taker put down his pen, the person in the wicker chair slammed the table, sternly asking, "Yang Yaochen, did you tamper with the gun, deliberately intending to harm and kill Teacher Lai, injure others?" Lao Yang was taken aback and said, "I never touched that gun. It was Fang Dazhuang who brought the modified round-nosed bullets." The person replied, "Where did you get such things? Clearly you brought them." The person on the wooden chair said, "Yang Tu, your father used to have a gun exactly like this one. I've seen that gun, burned to ashes. I also know. I've seen the bullets, identical to these." It was then that Lao Yang remembered a keyword and hastily said, "This is a misunderstanding. I have no grudges or conflicts with them." The person on the wooden chair retorted, "Yang Tu, be honest. Don't think I don't know. That pig you released onto the mountain, even though it turned wild, you still harbor resentment for them shooting your pig, intending to harm people." Lao Yang replied, "Ask Dazhuang and Shen Yufa." The person in the wicker chair slapped the table. "We already did." Consistent statements. Also, Yang Tu, what happened to the double-barrel hunting gun tour taken up the mountain, but only one remains now? Lao Yang said, "Misunderstanding. I only saw one." The person on the wooden chair said, "Yang Tu, don't think I don't know. You previously did your father's gun. That gun. Its whereabouts are still unknown. Once, I spared you considering your status as an orphan with a widowed mother. Unexpectedly, this time, you set your sights on a brand new double-barrel hunting gun, deliberately plotting for profit and harm." Lao Yang protested. "Misunderstanding. Ask Muzhang." Coincidentally, Mudong was brought in from the hospital. He was about to mention Dajong removing the bullet belts when the person in the wicker chair interrupted. Carpenter ran, "Shut up. Are you trying to collusion?" Mudong, clueless about the situation, had no choice but to remain silent. It was already past 4 in the morning, and they were getting ready to tie him up with a rope, intending to deliver him directly to the county office at daybreak. Lo Yang said, "Let me use the restroom first." The person in the wicker chair, already tired, scowled and said, "Don't play tricks." Lo Yang remarked, "I need to defecate, and got no time." After a day or two of running around, Lo Yang was already smelling bad. He also let out a hungry fart. The person frowned, gesturing for someone to tie a tight knot around Lo Yang's waist. Lo Yang requested a newspaper before walking out. The person led the way, bringing him to the large toilet in the courtyard. Just as they entered the courtyard, Lo Yang took advantage of the darkness to untie the knot. Was there a knot that Lo Yang couldn't undo? Since the wooden frame for writing, bound with a rope, had collapsed and broken its second leg, Lo Yang had been studying knots in bed. With a few twists and turns of his hands, he tossed the rope aside and dashed towards the left corner of the courtyard. It was a stroke of luck. The opening to the dog's den happened to be at this corner. Lo Yang slept through. Fifth flower. The little boar once drilled this hole. In the courtyard of the High Wolf compound, there was a sudden commotion. Lo Yang, taking advantage of the deserted street, ran away, slapping the pavement with a series of quick steps.